Welcome to Kentucky Public Pensions Authority Retirement Payment Options webinar. My name is Ashley Gabbard, and I'm a retirement benefit consultant within the Division of Member Services. Joining me today are several KPPA representatives to answer your questions throughout the presentation and at its conclusion. As most are probably aware, 2020 legislation changed the name of our agency from Kentucky Retirement Systems to Kentucky Public Pensions Authority, or KPPA. While our agency name has changed, KPPA still employs the same great staff which hope to offer you the same exceptional service. You'll see our new logo during the presentation, throughout our website, and on our publications and forums. And if you haven't already, please update your email address within Member Self-Service for information like this and other news regarding your retirement benefits. Throughout the presentation, we ask that you keep in mind Kentucky Revised Statute 61.661, which requires KPPA to administer your accounts in a confidential manner. Please do not share sensitive information such as your Social Security number, your member ID, or your PIN. If you have specific questions, please contact a KPPA counselor at 1-800-928-4646 with your 4-digit PIN to discuss confidential information on your account. During today's webinar, we'll have a brief Zoom tutorial and discuss some things you should consider when choosing your payment option at retirement. We'll review beneficiary designation and define each retirement payment option, as well as explain a few payment options like the 10-year certain and the Social Security adjustment options that our membership is less familiar with. At the top or bottom of your screen, you should see a Zoom toolbar. On that toolbar, you should have the options to click Chat, Raise Hand, or Q&A. In the far right corner of the toolbar, you'll notice there's an option to Leave Meeting. If you're having technical issues during the webinar or you need to leave the meeting at any point throughout the presentation, simply click on Leave Meeting to excuse yourself. If you're unable to stay the duration of the meeting, I hope you will view a recorded version of the webinar online, or you can join us for another live webinar. To register for future webinars, you'll log into your Member Self-Service account and scroll to the bottom of the home page. Click on the tile titled Seminar Registration. There you'll find a list of webinars or in-person presentations that are specific to your benefit tier. The question and answer function is used to ask general retirement questions to the KPPA representative. Please do not share confidential information in the Q&A forum, in the chat room, or when asking questions live if time permits. Q&A is the preferred method to communicate your questions, as it allows our staff to answer them chronologically and it ensures that no question goes unanswered. The chat room is primarily used for KPPA staff to communicate with the attendees as a whole regarding such things as technical issues or links to online resources. If you do need to communicate with the KPPA staff privately, you can do so in chat by selecting To Panelists Only. Again, private chat does not suggest that you should share any confidential information on your account. That should only be done over the phone or in an appointment with a benefit counselor one-on-one. And to prevent interruption and allow the webinar to end on time, we will not use the raise hand function. While we encourage your interaction with the KPPA staff, we find that oftentimes we will answer your questions throughout the presentation. It's helpful to jot down your questions and ask them at the conclusion of the webinar if those questions go unanswered. There are several things you should consider before selecting your retirement payment option. It's important to carefully review all your options and understand how each of them work. Who you name as beneficiary of your account will determine which payment options are available to you. Now, once you choose your payment option, no changes can be made to the option or the designated beneficiary after the first day of the month the retirement check is issued. And if you haven't already, we encourage you to log into Member Self-Service to determine which payment options are available to you based on the beneficiary designation, along with other factors. Member Self-Service, or MSS, allows the member to assume various contingencies and the likelihood of those contingencies occurring. And also keep in mind, for most payment options, the member or the beneficiary must receive a monthly retirement allowance to participate in KPPA's medical insurance program. It's important to consider who you will name as the beneficiary of your retirement account and understand how the designation of each individual can affect your retirement differently. While you're actively working and employed, it's imperative that you have a valid Form 2035 or beneficiary designation on file with Kentucky Public Pensions Authority. This form is to be completed, signed, witnessed, and returned to KPPA. If we do not have a valid Form 2035 on file, your beneficiary designation will be defaulted to the estate. Now, this can be changed at any time up until you retire by completing a new Form 2035, which can be found on the KPPA's website at kyret.ky.gov. At the time of retirement, you may only name one person, the estate, or a trust as the beneficiary of your monthly retirement allowance. Up until you retire, you may name as many principal and contingent beneficiaries as you wish. But once you retire, you must select one principal beneficiary and the contingent beneficiary is defaulted to your estate. If you have multiple beneficiaries listed, log into your self-service account to test how naming individuals will affect your benefit. As I mentioned before, a retiree cannot change their beneficiary designation on or after the first day of the month in which the member receives the retirement check. And if the beneficiary dies or divorces, state law requires that the member's estate is defaulted to the beneficiary. Also keep in mind that an estate or trust is not eligible for a lifetime payment upon the death of a member. It's also important to note that the beneficiary designation does not have to be a spouse. Now just remember, only death or divorce nullifies a beneficiary. So I warn you of this since there have been instances where a member named their fiancé as the beneficiary of their account, but the nuptials never happened. Because the member and the beneficiary were not married, the ex-fiancé could not be removed as the beneficiary of the account. Now let's take a look at all the retirement payment options available to KPPA members. House Bill 87 is the housekeeping bill passed in the 2020 legislative session. Among other things, the bill amended KRS 61.542 and 61.590 to allow a retired member who elects a non-survivorship payment option, excluding the 10-year certain option, to change his or her beneficiary at any time after his or her effective retirement date. The amendment also provides that a retired member who marries or remarries after his or her effective retirement date may, within 120 days of the marriage date, name his or her spouse as the beneficiary and elect a survivorship payment option. The retired member must do both for either to be in effect. The survivorship payment option must be actuarially equivalent to the retirement allowance at the original retirement date, which means the member's monthly benefit must be recalculated using the new spouse's age to determine the new survivorship payment option amounts. The bill also provides a window for any retired member who married or remarried prior to the effective date, which is June 29, 2021, to name his or her spouse as beneficiary and elect a survivorship payment option so long as it's completed on or before January 1, 2022. Retired members will be able to make beneficiary changes in self-service. A marriage certificate and birth certificate will be required for a retired member to name his or her new spouse as beneficiary and elect a survivorship payment option. I'm sure some of you have already calculated your retirement estimates online, had them prepared and mailed by a retirement counselor, or has met with one in office. Today we'll discuss each retirement payment option, but the beneficiary you name will determine which options are available to you. To further explain, let's assume you're unsure if you'll name your spouse or your new grandchild as the beneficiary of your account. The life expectancy of your new grandchild is longer than that of your spouse, so you'll notice that there are some payment options available to you by choosing your spouse that are not available by choosing the grandchild. It's also important to keep this in mind when making decisions concerning your beneficiary. Now, the basic option, or referred to as the annuity option for Tier 3 members, provides the largest monthly benefit to the member until death. It does not provide any benefits to the beneficiary after the member passes away. Now, if the member dies before receiving an amount equal to his or her account balance, the beneficiary will receive the remaining account balance in a lump sum payment. In this example, the member would receive $1,452.33 in gross income per month, and upon their death, the beneficiary would not receive a benefit. Life with 10, Life with 15, and Life with 20 years certain are all structured the same. It's a lifetime payment to the member. However, if the member were to expire within the first 10, the first 15, or the first 20 years of their retirement, depending upon the option they choose, KPPA will continue to pay the beneficiary for the remainder of that specified period of time. So, for example, if the member chose life with 10 years certain and lived 3 years beyond their retirement date, the beneficiary would be entitled to the remaining 7 years in payments. At the end of the 10-year period, the payment to the beneficiary would cease. Survivorship 100, 66 2/3, 50, and the pop-up option are all a lifetime payment to both the member and the beneficiary. Survivorship 100 option works so that if the member predeceases the beneficiary is eligible for the same monthly benefit up until death. So in this example, the member would receive $1,321.32 per month, and upon his or her passing, the beneficiary would receive 100% of that for the remainder of their lifetime. Survivorship 66 2/3% works so that if the member predeceases the beneficiary is eligible for a monthly benefit equal to 66 2/3% of the retiree's last monthly benefit up until the beneficiary's death. You'll notice in this example that the member's benefit increases when compared to the previous mentioned Survivorship 100. That's because we have reduced the benefit for the beneficiary. So the member receives $1,362.28 because the beneficiary is decreased to $908.23 for their lifetime. Survivorship 50% works so that if the member predeceases the beneficiary is eligible for a monthly benefit equal to 50% of the member's last monthly benefit up until death. Again, in this example, you'll see that the member's benefit has increased when compared to the other two survivorship options because the beneficiary's benefit has decreased to 50% of the members, or in this example, $691.87 per month. The pop-up option works so that if the member predeceases the beneficiary is eligible for the same monthly benefit up until their death. However, if the beneficiary predeceases the member, or the beneficiary is the member's spouse and they divorce after retirement, the monthly benefit pops up or increases to the amount under the basic or annuity option. So if we look at the example, the member would draw $1,310.14 under the pop-up option. If the member passes away, the beneficiary draws 100% of that benefit. But if the beneficiary predeceases the member, or if they divorce, the member pops up to the basic or annuity option of $1,452.33 per month. The Survivorship 100, 66 2/3, 50%, and the pop-up options provide a monthly benefit after the member's death and will allow the beneficiary to participate in the medical insurance program. The actuarial refund provides a one-time lump sum payment to the member that is actuarial equivalent of the amount the member would have received had the benefits been paid over 60 months. It's important to be especially careful when considering this payment option. By selecting this option, the member forfeits all other benefits, including health insurance and the $5,000 death benefit. Because this is a lump sum payment, all contributions and leave balances must be certified by the employer before payment can be made. It's important to note that if the member is Tier 1 or Tier 2, the refund amount will be the total of contributions and interest if that amount is higher than the actuarial lump sum. Tier 3 members are also not eligible for the actuarial lump sum, only the total of contributions and the associated interest. Members that plan to take an actuarial lump sum refund will need to complete a Form 6025, or the Direct Rollover Direct Payment Election Form. The 10-year certain option is only available to members within the state police retirement system, or those members in the Kentucky Employees Retirement System or County Employees Retirement System in hazardous positions. This option provides a higher monthly payment guaranteed for 120 months or 10 years to the member, or if the member dies, the beneficiary for the remainder of those 10 years. Because this option pays a higher monthly amount, it only pays within the first 10 years of retirement. After the 10-year period, the member retains their health insurance, but all other benefits cease, and neither the member nor the beneficiary will receive further payments. In addition, after the end of the 10 years, there will be no $5,000 death benefit payment at the time of the member's death. Be especially careful when considering this payment option. There will be no income after 10 years, and you could also be subject to an additional tax penalty. Social Security adjustment options. These options are available to a select group of members. And in order to choose one of the Social Security adjustment options, you must be under the age of 62 at the time of your anticipated retirement. Now let's read through the definition of how the Social Security adjustment option works, and then we'll discuss some details of how to see this option and look at an example. The Social Security adjustment options allow you to receive a higher monthly payment from your retirement date up until your 62nd birthday, at which time your payment will drop based on your age 62 Social Security payment. Some of us attending the webinar today may have not ever heard of this Social Security adjustment option. So whether you are calculating your own retirement online or if you've spoken with a counselor about your retirement, in order to generate these additional options, you must provide KPPA with a Social Security statement. Now let me be perfectly clear before we go any further. Other than KPPA requiring a Social Security statement, taking this option in no way involves Social Security. In fact, these options are still paid by KPPA just like any other option we've discussed thus far. Also, this does not mean you are taking your Social Security early. What this does mean is that KPPA will adjust your options based on your Social Security statement, hence the name Social Security Adjustment Option. And by you providing KPPA with your Social Security statement, KPPA will use your early Social Security benefit at age 62 to generate one, possibly two Social Security options. These options allow the member to draw a higher monthly benefit up until they turn 62. And then in the month following their 62nd birthday, KPPA will automatically reduce the member's monthly retirement allowance, as now the member is eligible to draw their early Social Security benefits from Social Security, therefore supplementing the reduction in their retirements with KPPA. So what do you need to provide KPPA if you're interested in these options at retirement? You will need to obtain a Personal Earnings Benefit Estimate Statement, which is also known as a PEBS, from Social Security, or your Social Security Online calculator. This statement should include identifying information such as your name, date of birth, and the last four numbers of your Social Security number. You send that to KPPA, and KPPA will use your projected age of 62 Social Security benefits to generate the Social Security adjustment option. It's important when obtaining the statement that you tailor it to your specific needs. Those statements generally assume that the member works up until age 62. So if you're retiring at age 55, then that statement is obviously assuming incorrect information and could cause you to draw a higher monthly benefit than you should. To generate a statement that is more accurate, you will need to assume no future earnings or $0 on the Social Security estimator. For guidance to properly use the calculator, you will need to contact your local Social Security office. We'll discuss why it's important to alter your Social Security statement to your retirement date in the next couple of slides. The member's age 62 Social Security benefit is $1,000. When we key that into our system, it generates two payment options, assuming this member did not name their estate or trust as a beneficiary: the Social Security adjustment option with survivor rights and without survivor rights. When we look at how these options are defined, we compare the Social Security adjustment option without survivor rights to the basic or annuity option, and the Social Security adjustment option with survivor rights to the Survivorship 100. Had the member chosen the basic or annuity option, the member would draw $1,452.33 per month. Instead, if the member chooses to take the Social Security adjustment option without survivor rights, he or she will draw a higher monthly benefit from KPPA of $2,145.71. The member will draw this higher monthly benefit up until their 62nd birthday. The month following the member's 62nd birthday, his or her benefits will be reduced to $1,145.71 for the remainder of their lifetime. Remember, since the member is age 62, they can now draw their age 62 Social Security benefit from Social Security. So now they can draw $1,145.71 from KPPA plus the $1,000 from Social Security, which puts their monthly benefit income back to $2,145.71. Now let's look at the Social Security adjustment option with survivor rights. If the member chooses the Survivorship 100 option, he or she would draw $1,321.32 per month, leaving 100% of that to their beneficiary if they predecease them in death. If they choose the Social Security adjustment option with survivor rights, they draw a higher monthly benefit of $2,040.24 per month. The member will draw this higher monthly benefit every month up until their 62nd birthday. The month following their 62nd birthday, their KPPA benefits are reduced to $1,040.24 per month for the remainder of their lifetime. But now they're eligible to draw their age 62 Social Security benefit from Social Security of $1,000. So when you add the $1,040.24 from KPPA to their $1,000 from Social Security, their monthly income is back to $2,040.24. This option guarantees the same benefit to the beneficiary if the member dies. If the member dies before age 62, the beneficiary draws the higher monthly benefit until the member would have reached 62. Thereafter, the beneficiary will receive the same reduced monthly benefit that the member would have been entitled to. So why is this a good idea or a bad idea? In my counseling experience, I've seen it on both sides. I had a gentleman in office that was terminally ill, and he was years from reaching his 62nd birthday. And from what the doctors had told him, he would never see it. So it made sense for him to take a payment that would pay him a higher monthly benefit. Now, on the other hand, I've seen members provide us with Social Security statements that were grossly overinflated. And we keyed the option based on the information provided, and when the member turned 62, they saw a significant reduction in their KPPA benefits. They filed for their Social Security benefits only to find out that the statement they provided was exaggerated and they would see a substantial decrease in their income. If you're interested in this option, the first thing I suggest is to obtain the PEB statement from Social Security that accurately represents your situation. Once you've seen this piece of information, log into Member Self-Service and key the age 62 Social Security benefit amount from the PEB statement to generate the Social Security options. If you're still interested in these options, provide a copy of the statement to KPPA, and we'll use this information to provide you with estimates to include the Social Security adjustment options. Retirement is one of the most individualized things you will ever do. Log into Member Self-Service, test your variables, visit the website, do the research, attend the presentation, and ask questions. This concludes our Retirement Payment Options webinar. This presentation is intended for general information purposes only, but if you have specific questions regarding your account, we encourage you to speak with the retirement counselor at 1-800-928-4646. On behalf of myself and the other KPPA staff, we thank you for attending today's presentation. We hope you found today's webinar helpful, and we encourage you to take our short survey at the conclusion of the presentation. Thank you and have a wonderful day.